hello everybody. Oh. Hi. Listen, I can't. I am here to talk about Linda Evangelista's Vogue video. Hi everybody. And Clayton, darling. Clayton, I need you, darling. Can you just, Clayton, darling, sweetie, darling, request to join this convo. You and your cocktail, okay? Because, honey, Linda needs you. Linda needs you. We have to talk. Clay, darling, sweetie, darling. Now, I don't know how, can I request? We're going to be talking about Linda Evangelista's interview that she did with Vogue, like what's in my Birkin bag. And it was, let me tell you, the world is a buzz. The fashion world is a buzz. The fashion world is a buzz. Now, okay, so I'm waving to Clayton. I have no clue how does this work, you guys? Hold on. Okay, yes, I think we got Clayton in the house. Darling.
Hello.
Listen, don't ask me about my hunchback situation. I've been botched. I can't. Don't go there. Don't. I look very normal like this. I mean, who would ever think that this does not look like your regular outfit for an interview for Vogue? So don't ask, okay? But the most important thing is, Clayton, we're going to talk perfumes. First of all, you guys, go follow Clayton on Instagram, Clayton Ilolahia. Actually, Clayton_Ilolahia. On Instagram, you want to know perfumes? You're going to him. By the way, this video will be published later on my essentially Dacob perfume channel. Clayton and I have been discussing this video. Now, obviously, this is just for funsies, and I'm really sweating real hard with this thing. As you can see, I have not been botched. Reveal! Big reveal! Look, my neck it works. And it's really hot. I have a beautiful, by the way, Save the Arctic, Vivienne Westwood moment. We watched the interview with Linda Evangelista for Vogue, what she has in her bag. One of the things she pulled out for us perfume enthusiasts is always like, oh my gosh. She pulled out a Guerlain bottle, which is around 30 milliliter spray bottle. And honey, the perfume community is a buzz because she said in that interview, I'm not going to tell you what perfume this is because, well, I'm not really faithful to just one perfume, but I'm still not ready to disclose with the rest of the world what this perfume is. So, of course, Clayton and I took screenshots.
And distributed them to all people.
My screenshot is not that good. Here it is. And then Clayton sent me his version, which is much nicer. I mean, Clayton is more professional. Look at me. I'm ratchet. And he's very Clayton is put together very well. Here, this is a better screenshot of it. So it seems to be a 30 ml bottle. Old school. They don't do these anymore. Maybe 25 ml. I think 30 ml.
I think it's 30. And so, yeah, when I'm, for those of people watching that weren't privy to our private conversation, so you sent me that photo and I was like, oh, okay, let's watch the video. And I said back to you, I was like, either she has a giant hand, is that like a supermodel trait, or this bottle is really small because the lid looked really bulbous. And I was like, what is this bottle? Okay. Maybe this is it, huh? Oh, you're a supermodel now.
This is how we do it, babes. Like this, it's like always, it's the teeny tiny things, like, oh my God, it's the new thing. Big hands is the new black.
Yes. Yeah. So I immediately jumped into Michael Edwards' Fragrances of the World database and was doing, so we have all the bottle images of every fragrance. So I was like trying to do a comparison. I was like, nope. And I went through the whole collection. And I couldn't find an exact match. So then that's when I thought, okay, it's a smaller bottle. Maybe it's a travel exclusive, because often when you go to duty free, like brands will do like a duty free set of the bestsellers in a slightly different bottle. But no, so I sent it to Demi, my friend over in Perth, who is a complete Guerlain fanatic and very, very knowledgeable. But he agreed with you. He thought it was a VIP sort of, I guess, like white labeled bottle that, you know, someone would go into the store and refill with whatever fragrance is their preferred fragrance.
Is that how Guerlain works? Like if they want to, they gift you a little thing that you can keep refilling?
Yeah, I haven't been into that part of the Maison on the Champs-Élysées for a couple of years, but I did a tour there when I first started blogging. Like through my connections at Vuitton, it was a VIP experience that Vuitton was offering some of their VIPs. Because I was friends with the marketing person, she's like, "Oh, look, I don't know what that experience is like. I'm going to send you to do it, and you can come and tell me what happens." But you go through the Maison up the top, and this was before the renovation, so it was amazing. It was so old school and like gold leaf everywhere. It's a little bit modern now, and funnily enough, they had an Hermes clock up in the spa. There was actually an Hermes clock. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting that you've got an Hermes product in your Maison, but you know, it was before the whole rivalry of LVMH versus the world existed.
Yeah, foreshadowing what's to come, because LVMH does want to buy out Hermes as soon as they can.
Yeah. But you know, when I was there, and I don't know if it still exists, but they had this massive
Allegedly.
It was plumbing through the whole store, and you would have these sort of taps where you could put it was the Big B bottle that you'd put underneath, and you could say, oh, I'm gonna fill my bottle with Shalimar, or you know, whatever the fragrance was. And so I don't know if they still offer that service, but that was one of the things. But actually up there they had so it was the made to measure suite. So you go and you would have a consultation. I think usually it wouldn't be with Thierry Vasseur or, you know, the head perfumer at the time. I think it was maybe with Sylvain Delacour or one of the sort of junior people in the development team, and they would do a consultation, ask what you liked, and they had this table of like all of these Baccarat bottles with different kind of accords in them, and you would sort of say, oh, I like that, I don't like that. And then they had a range of perfumes that you could purchase ready to go if you liked a particular one, or they would sort of build something from scratch. And I think from memory, like the cost was something crazy. It was like, you know, 80,000 euros, which at the time was you know, a lot more than
wow.
But they would give you like a big, again, Baccarat bottle, and then you'd get all of these mini sort of empty bottles with your fragrance in as well. And then that formula would be sort of locked to your name. So then you would, every time you'd go back to the Maison for refills, they would have your formula, and they could reformulate for you and sort of give you a refill. So
I remember them doing this, but I remember 40,000 euro.
Was it 40? This is so long ago. Maybe I'm completely scrambling numbers in my head.
Could be 80. I mean, at this point, they're just dropping numbers randomly. Their prices like whatever, 10K, 20. Yeah. Oh, this. Yeah, 50K. You know, a little something, something.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know it was tens of thousands of euro. I thought it was 80, but I could be wrong. Like, don't quote.
But you know, what really fascinates me in this conversation in particular is this. Well, what fascinated me, I mean, obviously you caught it immediately, and so did I. You know, I'm a huge fan of the Maisley brothers and Grey Gardens, and of course Clayton immediately said, oh my gosh, Linda Evangelista in the interview looks very much like little Edie. And just to refresh your memories, this is how Linda looked in the Vogue video where she showcases what she has in her Birkin bag. So just a little Chanel jacket, a little hat, a little thing to cover the botched procedure that she had done with the cold something. And then she's like, oh, and this Birkin, you know, Hermes gifted it to me. I just went into this room full of bags, and I just looked at the top. There's this dusty Birkin, and the Hermes people said, you know, this is so obsolete. It's so démodé. Are you sure you want this? We could give you something new. She's like, oh no, honey. I'm humble. I'm modest. Give me the biggest Birkin at the top, and I'm good. And so then she's talking about how she's proud of this busted Birkin. And then she starts pulling stuff out, like her Comme des Garçons condom container. Wait, but she was like fine saying that, but then she's like, and this is my perfume, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. So I wanted to ask you, you know, this is something that I personally find myself up. By the way, you guys, I'm wearing this nail polish. I'm just doing some research on Marilyn Monroe. So this is a nail polish that came out in 1952 by Revlon, and I'm just kind of experimenting with colors, with coral reds. So don't think like what's happening here. There's a reason for this. There's a methodology to my craziness, but I'm going through a Marilyn Monroe phase. But anyway, and I am often asked, oh, what perfume are you wearing when I'm out and about? And I understood her, Clayton, when she
Really?
said in the video, what perfume are you wearing? She's like, I don't want to tell. Now, later, I thought she just doesn't know because it's a refill bottle and she doesn't know anymore what perfume is in it. And she just didn't want to do the faux pas and be like, I don't know. So she was like, I don't want to tell. But then I thought, I don't like to tell. And truth be told, you guys, if I don't like a person and they come close to me, they're like somewhere in the city, they're like, oh, you smell divine. What perfume is it? I usually say Naomi Campbell from the drugstore.
That's good. I think I'm gonna have to use that.
I'm
I
like,
was
oh, honey, it's just something cheap. Naomi Campbell, I got it at the drugstore. And they're like, oh, wow, really? And yeah, I know I'm bad. But hey, it's an intimate thing. How is it for you when people ask you, oh, what perfume are you wearing?
I think I'm just like super transparent because I'm not wedded to one. I'm a bit like Linda. I don't just like wed to one fragrance, but I'm always wearing different things. So I'm never like super precious about something that I'm wearing because tomorrow I'll be wearing something else and I will probably forget the thing that I'm wearing today. So
Yeah.
yeah, I share. I'm a sharer.
No, no, she a hoe.
Well, that's one way to put it.
She's like, yeah, so I don't really remember what perfume I wore yesterday. It's like not really a big deal anyway, because like today I already have enough.
Well, actually, so today I'm wearing Francis Kojian's new release, 724.
Oh, how is it? Are you enjoying it?
I love it. So, because I'm a big fan of Aqua Universalis. So it's pretty much Aqua Universalis, but the aldehydes are sort of pumped up and there's more of a jasmine focus rather than that sort of watery lily of the valley, you know, sort of abstract floral that runs through Aqua Universalis. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
I have to try them out because, you know, I always have this theory that his best perfumes are made for others, not for himself.
Mm.
But I haven't tried the newest one.
Yeah.
Since our video together at LKNU, people have been buzzing like crazy, DMs in the comments. Oh my God, you guys have to do more together. Clayton is amazing. By the way, you should start your own YouTube journey. I think you would explode exponentially. First of all, a lot of charisma, and second of all the knowledge. And you're never you're never publicly.
Cool.
So I definitely, I would applaud it, and I would love to see a perfume YouTube channel by Clayton. Would be amazing.
Yeah.
But people have been asking us like, hey, do more videos with Clayton, and also people have been begging to know more about Au Noir, the new version, as opposed to the old version. Can you tell us more?
Yeah. I had lots of messages actually. People were saying, "Oh, are you gonna work with Dacob on a Au Noir video?" So yeah, we should put that in the planning. Actually, if I just grab something off my shelf beside me, which is completely unplanned.
So guys, I'm gonna keep you entertained while Clayton is getting. Oh, okay, he's back. That was fast.
Just beside me. So I think I have one of the last. Actually, no, I don't think they've discontinued this. I think you can still get it, but it's getting a little bit.
The candle is discontinued. Au Noir gone.
Yeah. So I haven't started burning it yet. So it just sort of sits there. I think one day when I've had a really rough day in the office, I'm just going to come back and I'm like,
oh man. And
yeah.
I was begging my sales associate to sell me the tester candle because that's the last thing they had left. And then she's like, oh no, I can't. I'm going to get in trouble. They're going to fire me. You don't know how LVMH is. I'm like, okay.
They know where I live.
They know where I live. I'm like, okay, girl, I don't want you to lose your job over a candle, but okay. I wanted to buy it. Hey, Val, how's it going? Oh, Val is in the chats. Val is actually coming by, so she might be at the door right now.
Ooh.
So listen, but well, I'm wearing Chanel number 5. I mean, it's like I'm still traveling, you guys. I'm still down under. I'm still in Melbourne, and it's not like I have a bunch of perfumes here with me. But yeah, I gotta say, for the first time in many years, I've been confronted with this issue of having limitations, of not having my entire archives with me, of not having all my perfumes with me. So, and I find it very refreshing to juggle these 5 or 6 or 7 that I have here with me. And in particular, the joy that it brings to it's a coincidental thing. The major 5 that I'm using now, they're so different from each other, but they kind of uh, compensate, not, but kind of add to each other really nicely. So I never get bored. And well, Chanel number 5, you never really get bored of it. And actually, now that I've been using the pure perfume, I took 3 refills with me. Now that I'm using it on a daily basis, you know what? It's addictive.
Are you wearing the eau de parfum, the pure parfum that you're wearing?
The pure.
Yeah, yeah. Lovely.
And what?
That's my favorite as well. Like if you go through, I guess, the different variations, and for me, the eau de parfum screams 1980s. Like it just has a real, just the structure, the way that it's formulated is so 1980s. But the pure parfum, amazing.
It's just, but it's addictive. I mean, I don't use it every day. I sniff it at home usually every day, but now I'm like spraying, and I went through 2 of these recharges already. So
In
this is
just in this.
keeps interrupting. I don't know if the connection is bad on your end or on my end.
You're okay for me. Maybe it's my side. But I was going to say, have you gone through that much just in this trip?
Oh, I've gone through 2 bottles already just in Australia.
Oh my God. Wow.
You know, this little creature is almost $100.
Yeah.
So it's like, but I'm addicted. I cannot stop. And the thing is, I was saying this in my other live stream the other day. We were going somewhere. I had to run back home because I always have it with me in my purse. I'm like, I got that anxiety, that like withdrawal anxiety. I was like, I can't leave home without my bottle because if I need to respray, I need to have it. So highly addictive, the pure perfume. But anyway, so I'm wearing this.
Oh, like we have Chanel in Australia. We have Chanel and Wi-Fi and electricity.
Yeah, the sharks have been biting the wires. So listen, what do you have to say about can you say anything about the new formulation of Noir? You haven't smelled it yet, right?
No, I have. I smelled the 3D with Liam from LKNU. So he purchased the trio, the limited edition trio. So I smelled them with him. Look, I think it's a faithful edition of the original, but I feel like you'll probably differ from my opinion because I know we've had conversations about the evolution of Eau Noir before. But for me, aside from they've gone with the colorless, so they haven't added color to the bottle, so it's no longer that sort of beautiful, dark sort of weedy green color. It's much more sort of clear, and it's really just the natural color of the juice. So yeah, but I think in terms of smell, like when I smell it, it's like I recognize the Eau Noir I know and love. So good job.
So, okay, so you're liking the reformulation. I mean, you guys, I haven't tried it yet. I will try it as soon as I get back home. They will be releasing soon the 125 milliliter bottles. Actually, in the States, they've just released them. In Europe, not yet. So in the States, you can now already purchase 125 mil Eau Noire, Cologne Blanche. Of course, Bois d'Argent already you could have. Europe hasn't received it yet. I was kind of thinking, buying the little munchkins, the 340 mils. I'm going to get the big bottles when they come out because obviously those are my original 3 that I love. I already have Bois d'Argent, so I don't need to get that. So I'm just going to buy a big chunky bottle of Cologne Blanche and a big one of Eau Noire, and I'm happy. Mm-hmm. And I will do a review and a comparison. I mean, maybe Clayton can join me one day. Maybe we could do it together, just like a sniff by sniff, and do a little video together because people have been begging for it.
Yeah, and now thanks to you, I have your sample of Cologne Blanche. But I have obviously I have Bois de Jean and Eau Noir from the Cologne era. So I've got the two originals, and yeah, I should, hopefully I'll have the new trio as well pretty soon. They'll come through wax, so I can do another.
It's such a beautiful, I mean, Cologne Blanche, you guys. I mean, the OG, okay, that I gave Clayton, isn't it just, it just catapults me back into the early 2000s. It's incredible the power that perfume has for me. It's...
Yeah, and it makes me really want to go back and smell. I think one of the fragrances that I wish I have in my collection, which I don't, is the original, the OG Dior Homme.
Yeah, Silver Stem.
Yeah, Silver Stem. I have the Cologne version from, I think it was 2007, but it's sort of they've ramped, like Francis ramped up the orange blossom note. I think no, actually, sorry, it wasn't Francois.
Demachy.
Yeah, I don't think it was his. I think he didn't touch it. It was one of the last ones that Olivier Cresp did actually in the Dior line before Francois Demachy took it over.
Okay. But
yeah.
he butchered Dior Homme, so.
Yeah, it's a little, it's definitely, I think it misses the powderiness and that sort of the mixing of the gender codes. Like I think when it first launched, a lot of guys that weren't used to, or were used to sort of big fougères smelt it and it's like, oh, this smells like a woman's perfume. It's very powdery, it's very cosmetic. And I feel like Demachy's version toned that away a little bit. Like it's a little bit washed away. It's much more cedar, it's a bit more woody and a bit more sort of less challenging to wear. I miss that.
But I loved the Dior Homme Original that is now available only online, you know, only in Europe.
Right.
I wonder if Francis is going to kind of touch it again, and if he's going to maybe manipulate it and bring it back nice. Because the Dior Homme that became the new Dior Homme that Demachy did it's. I mean, I can say it. You can stay polite, but I can say it's a travesty. And so the thing is, maybe it's a mass appealing smell, but come on, we love our Dior with character. We love our Dior that has that keeps us guessing. That's something that always makes it so special. You know, why simplify it? Why make it for the, you have it. You have your masses here. You have your Sauvage. You got your masses. You don't need another, you know, you don't need Dior Homme on top of that. You know, like, thank God they at least kept producing Dior Homme Original, or how they call it, the original. I'm still fine with the current formulation of the original. If you know how to spray it, don't puddle spray. Don't spray it at a distance. Give it that distance as you're spraying it. You know, don't puddle spray, but do a cloud spray. Oh my gosh, it pops that beautiful iris again, and you do get the makeup feel. You do get that gender bender moment still, I believe, with the current formula. But unfortunately, they're not distributing it in America.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't realize that. Interesting. Yeah, I believe you can still get it here. And if anyone's tuned in from Australia, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's here.
I don't think you can. Let me check. I don't think in Australia you can. I think it's only in France and in some European online. Yeah, it's that rare. Like Demachy literally said,
Yeah. Wow. And someone in your, I saw in the messages, they were calling out the iris note as well. And that's what I remember. It was that beautiful iris. But, you know, iris can sort of, again, be quite cold. And although it comes with the sort of powderiness, there's that sort of violet tinged top note. And but I love the way in Dior Homme it was just paired with the vanilla. And so with that sort of the warmth of the vanilla with that cooling iris sort of contrast was amazing. I miss that.
I miss that too. But I'm telling you, if you can get your hands on the original, Dior Homme Original, it doesn't have to be the silver stem. You're going to get that vibe again. Yeah,
I need to go back and revisit it then. I think I still have a few old bottles in my collection upstairs with like the Dior Homme Entente, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then the Parfum as well.
I have those as well, yeah.
And what else was I going to say? Oh, you know, and I do have the new, what they call Dior Homme now, which is that sort of sporty thing, which, you know,
the Demachy Travis. Yeah.
I kind of like it. I mean, I'm pretty basic like that. Like I mentioned, you know, in Melbourne, I was like, I like some really basic stuff. Like I bought a bottle of cool water the other day, and I'm absolutely loving a little cool water spritz in the morning as I go to the gym. Yeah.
Davidoff.
Davidoff. So yeah, so the new Dior I'm kind of okay for it.
Okay, so apparently the website in Australia shows it,
Okay, yeah. I think I feel like,
but you can't order it.
oh, okay.
Can you order from Dior Australia online, or do they not? Just like Chanel, you can't order anything.
Yeah,
It just says find a boutique.
okay, yeah, sure. I don't know if Dior have the online capabilities. I'm sure as well, like if you went to Chemist Warehouse or you maybe went to Priceline, I don't know if they have Dior at Priceline, but if you went there, I'm sure you'd find original Dior.
I'm clicking on some random like Miss Dior. Let's see if we can buy her because that's not. Oh no, you can order online. They're
You
doing
can?
that. So that
Oh,
means that Dior Homme Original, you can't
it's,
get it here.
yeah. Oh, that's a
I'm
shame.
telling you, it's Europe only. Yeah, and you cannot get it in stores in Europe either. You can only get it in some Dior stores in France.
Right.
In the other European countries, you can only order it online from Dior. Otherwise, it's completely gone.
Yeah. Oh, let's talk about other Dior unicorns. Did you ever like Dior's Vetiver?
Oh my gosh, I have the very, very first. You mean from the Collection Privée?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, I have the very first edition of it
Uh-huh.
as a 5 ml sample. They used to have them in the screw bottles, in the little round chubby bottles before. Now they have the elongated ones. So I
Yeah.
still have my first formula Vetiver. It's beautiful, but does it warrant a full bottle? Eh.
I bought a full bottle. I think at the time that it came out, I was obsessed with Vetiver and anything Vetiver I just bought. And so when that came out and when I smelt it, I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing with that sort of like little coffee sort of
Yeah,
like,
but when you got it, it cost half the amount it costs now.
yeah, right,
Now
sure.
it's gone, but yeah.
Yeah. I think I bought mine in London. I was traveling through London and I was like, oh my God, I need this. So yeah, I bought a 120 ml bottle and I still have a lot of that bottle left. And it's aged pretty well because, you know, Vetiver, depending on what it's mixed with, it doesn't age very well. Often.
Vetiver can get moldy, like
Yeah,
milky.
yeah. And it loses the some of its facets that you smell when it's fresh juice. Like Sycamore, I still have Sycamore Eau de Toilette, and it's not quite exactly what it was when I bought it in 2008.
Really, mine is.
Really? I
Oh
find
my
it, yeah, some of that sparkly, there's a freshness in Vetiver which Guerlain really played up, I feel, in their version of Vetiver. It's, you know, it's not really the soapiness because I think that's coming from the musk and a little bit of tonka. But there's an element of freshness in fresh Vetiver oil, which I'm not so much now with my Sycamore bottle. It feels like it's sort of compressed and you still get that beautiful smokiness. And I smelled something actually. Oh, so here's a tip. If you like that, Le Gallion has reformulated some of their fragrances, and so they have a vetiver in their collection, and their vetiver is now a sort of, it feels very sycamore. So I
Oh, interesting. Well, you know, another one that is very sycamore is Encre Noire from La
right.
Ligue. But
Uh-huh.
back in the day, now they reformulated it. It's a joke.
Oh,
But oh my God, it's a joke. Forget about it. It's gone in 10 minutes. But
wow.
when I did my review of Sycamore de Toilette, for me, it would the magic of it that is now gone in the eau de parfum because eau de parfum is all about warmth, but the eau de toilette was all about the cold, damp
Yeah.
roots of the vetiver. I kept saying in my review, I said, you know, it's like Jacques um, plucked the root out of the soil, and the soil was all humid and wet around the root, and you get that humidity and
Yeah.
that dirty soil smell in Sycamore eau de toilette, which is probably what you're saying now is gone after some time because that crispy, wet soil, that humid, wet soil is maybe gone. I still have it in my version, but I live in a very, very dry climate, so maybe mine is preserved nicely.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm kind of Europe.
Yeah, I was living in Melbourne at the time, brought it back to Melbourne. Then I was up in far north Queensland, which is tropical rainforest, Australia. I was up there for like a year and a half. So that bottle has moved around and been in Sydney, which can get quite warm. I mean, obviously it's always in its box and it's in the cupboard away from heat and sort of direct light, but still, yeah, it's and the color has your juice. Mine's gone quite dark.
Yeah, there's a second you put any really, minus the really synthetic ones with a lot of aldehydes and a lot of fixatives. If you put any Chanel perfume in big humidity, they don't like it. They don't like it. They love the sun. Have you ever tried, I mean, now, I guess, well, it depends how dry it is where you are now, but I love to put Pour Monsieur, Eau de Toilette, and Chanel No. 5 Eau de Parfum in the sun. And I let them age and get dark. Oh my God. It's something else. Never put perfumes in the sun except those two. Those are the two that I just let them linger and they become dark and heavy.
Does it change, or are you really just talking about a color change?
No, the smell changes. It becomes much deeper. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Like No. 5, but just for the Eau de Parfum, when you leave it in the sun, it almost starts mimicking what used to be civet, which we don't have anymore, real civet in it. It gets that animalic muskiness back when the sun kind of alters the chemical composition of the perfume. It doesn't happen with the Eau de Toilette or with the pure perfume, but with the Eau de Parfum, it does it good, a little bit of sun. And same happens to Pour Monsieur for some reason.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I'm not saying do this if you only have one bottle. I stock up on these things. So I have always one in the sun. There's always one fresh, open. There's one still sealed. My smells, I always rotate them. But it's a wonderful thing that I love to do just with No. 5 and Pour Monsieur. What are your thoughts on the pure perfume of Sycamore that we know so far is coming out in September?
I haven't heard anything, I haven't smelt it. I'm in Paris in I can't say next month yet. I'm about 3 weeks away from leaving Australia and heading back towards Europe. So I'll be back in Paris in October and hopefully get a meeting with Chanel and they'll be able to brief us on for work. This is what's coming up, so that might be part of their briefing. So yeah, it's always been my favorite Les exclusive fragrance. But I'm not a fan of the eau de parfum. Really, for me, it's all about the eau de toilette. So, I'm curious though, because for me, the beauty of Sycamore comes from the effervescence and the lightness, which it's almost the space between the roots rather than that sort of the denseness of the root itself. So I feel like in the parfum, kind of similar to what they did with Coromandel, which the parfum for me is magical because it is all about that sort of heaviness and the vanilla and the patchouli. So I'm unsure what Sycamore would be like if it is this sort of really, wearing close to the skin extrait de parfum sort of experience.
I fear that it is going to be just like the Eau de Parfum. They're going to go the warm route. Because the problem I have with the Eau de Parfum is that it's warm, it's not cold. And the Eau de Toilette was cold. And I think whether or not Olivier Polge wanted to mark his territory, and once in 2016 he took the reins of Chanel and reformulated everything and reconcentrated everything, maybe he thought he was doing something by delivering a warmer version of Sycamore. Because if we look at what Olivier Polge does, he's good at creating warm fragrances. He's not good at cold metallics. And that's why Gabriel, for me, is a flop. Because he tried to create the first version of it, the Eau de Parfum. It has that metallic opening. Oh, can you please open the door? Thank you. It has this metallic, it's Vel, by the way. It's this metallic opening, screechy, that Gabriel has that I cannot stand. Now, they've toned it down in the pure perfume. It's beautiful. But what did Olivier Polge do that's a masterpiece, in my opinion? Le Lion de Chanel.
Really? I'm not a fan. I think I appreciate it's a beautiful fragrance, but it's not for me. And I feel like it came at a time where, I don't know, it felt so out of sync with what Chanel is and does.
Yeah, it came out of left field, and it was made just for the probably Arab market, and we get it, we know all that stuff. But still, the fact that they didn't go oud, they still didn't go oud. I respect that. And the fact that Well, I bought it in winter, but then it didn't really work very well. I mean, and then nobody thought to wear it in summer because it's such a heavy perfume. Like, why would you wear it in summer? Well, then I started wearing it in summer. Boy,
Right.
oh boy, it's the most majestic thing in summer. Val, don't be shy. Come, come, come. We're scared. She's here. Say hi. I'm here with Clayton. Val is joining us. Another perfume aficionado.
Hey,
How are you?
nice to see you.
Oh my
Oh,
God, she smells amazing. Oh, she smells so good.
Oversprayed number 22.
number 20.
Oh my gosh, she smells delicious. So what was I saying? I forgot.
I was going to share a story while we were on the topic of you using Chanel number 5 bottles instead of aging them in the sun and then changing different colors. Because today, another conversation we're having in private messaging was the I guess we shorten it to Vivienne or the Vachetta or the Vachette leather that Louis Vuitton uses on their monogram collection. Yeah, so I worked for 10 years, but I remember one of the fun things that we used to have to do in the store was we would age. So we would get all the speedies, and obviously, you know, like a lot of clients when they purchase a piece of Vuitton luggage, they're like, okay, do you have a new one? Of course, sure, we'll do that. But there were some people that liked a little bit of color because, you know, when you have a new product, the Vachetta is almost sort of like a pinkish, like it's a little bit Silence of the Lambs. It's kind of like freshly, you know, pulled from the tannery.
Yeah.
And so some clients don't like that. So we would literally use the store lighting, and we would sort of basically like have a tanning salon full of bags where we would sort of tan them to different grades of color. So then if the client was like, oh, I don't like that, do you have another one? We could sort of offer them a range of like skin tones for the bags. I don't think, you know, this is well, this would be like 15 years ago. So I think the pace of those stores now, it's just like churn. The staff would not have, you know, the ability to maintain a store like that. But, you know, it was
But
much
that's
fun.
so amazing, Clayton. I mean, I love that idea. That to me is like real luxury. You go to Louis and you're like, hey, I want to travel from A to B. And, you know, I'm a bit worried with a very, very light patina. And maybe do you have something a bit more patina so that my luggage can be preserved a bit? And you say, of course, we have, just like with wine bottles, we got a 2-month aged patina, a 10-month aged patina. I love that. I wish they would still do that.
Yeah, well, yeah, and the other thing, like if we didn't have that, then we'd be like, well, are you traveling soon? You know, give us some time. So, you know, come back in 2 days, we'll tan the bag for you. And so we would use a solution of olive oil. So you could brush or wipe olive oil over the vachetta and then place it in light. So we would just use the LED lights in the store and we would expose them. We would come in every morning, turn the bag so that, you know, the tan would be even. And we would tan the bags literally for the clients to their specification.
Wow, that's amazing. But doesn't the olive oil smell?
No, so it's I mean you would only use a very light, and it wouldn't be virgin olive oil, it was always like light oil, but you would just use a little bit and you wouldn't apply it directly to the bag because you could sort of create little stains. Although, I mean, the vachetta is designed to be, the natural oils and tannins in the leather make it repel light water splashes. But you would put the oil first on a cloth, you would sort of rub it into the cloth, and then you would wipe it over the leather evenly so you wouldn't get any, you know, blotches or stains. So it would be a very light coating, but that plus the light, exposure to light would sort of accelerate the tanning process.
So interesting. And how about the oil touching the canvas? Because that can have a bad effect long term. Because the oil can affect the soft makers in the plastic of the canvas.
Yeah, the plastic, like the outer coating, so the monogram canvas and damier, it's pretty resistant. Like I think you wouldn't have any issues. We had a cleaning product specifically from France for the canvas, but it was sort of more of it was some kind of, not solvent, but I remember smelling it. It's like, oh, that's pretty harsh. Like it's not anything natural. But yeah, the oil would be fine. Probably the main thing was inside the interior lining, which you were mentioning. You had the posh toilette. A lot of that, the original lining had to be replaced from a lot of the older products because it would sort of disintegrate over time, you know, after sort of 10, 15 years. So a lot of clients would bring it back and they designed a new fabric to line those products. So that, yeah, that wouldn't do well with the humidity plus all of the oils from cosmetics that would get into that interior lining.
And interesting, but to rein it back into perfumes, the smell of their canvas, their new canvas, to me is so good. Oh my gosh, opening up a new Speedy, opening up a new Keepall, there's a particular smell that Louis has that nobody else has. And I was always asking myself, like, why don't they make a perfume with that? Why don't they give us the exact smell?
Yeah. Yeah, they haven't done that. And I was, you know, when they first started doing fragrances,
It smells so good.
the first one was the leather fragrance, the oh my God, it's gone right out of my head, but there's a skin fragrance which is designed on the leather, the Louis Vuitton leather smell in the collection, but it didn't really capture the smell of the leather. If you get the opportunity to go to Agnières, which is the original workshop for Louis Vuitton, in the suburb of Agnières out in Paris, you go through and it's literally the sort of like the air is still, it's quite low lit because they don't want the light to get exposed to the leather, and that's where they have all of the leather that they use in the hard trunks, because that's the hard trunk making workshop is upstairs. But also all of the show collections, the leather is there and they make the product there. But it has a really particular smell. And I'm yet to smell that in a perfume. Like even Cuir d'Ange from Hermes doesn't quite replicate the smell of actual natural leather.
It does actually replicate the smell of the interior of a Kelly. I was for work flying to Paris for some fashion week event, and one of the ladies that was working in my team was sitting next to me when we were flying back, and I just put on some Cuir d'Ange, and she was very young, but comes from a good family. Father's a doctor, mother, you know. And then she's like, "Oh my God, Dacob, like I didn't know you had a Kelly bag." I'm like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, I don't have a Kelly bag. And then she's like, "Well, this smell, this is how my mom's Kelly bag smells like."
Really? How
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
That made that association then. Cool, yeah. But I'm yet to really smell something that goes, okay, this takes me exactly into the workshop. And you know, obviously Vuitton and Hermes, it's different, and you know, for Vuitton it's working with like mimosa wood cabracha. They work with a very specific formula for their tannins, for their leather, which will create a specific smell for their products. But yeah, I'm yet to sort of be kind of captured in that moment about leather. And I remember I had a conversation once with the perfumer Rodrigo Flores Roux, who's done a lot of work on leather and did a lot of the Tom Fords. But he was sort of saying how because he's a bit of a leather queen if you see him, like he's always running around in his big leather boots, and he's
Okay.
quite proud of that, being part of that subculture. But he was saying that leather is such a hard smell to replicate in perfumery, because perfumery, you're dealing with a molecule that sort of starts here and is basically like declining into nothing, whereas leather is this living smell because the skin is sort of emitting all of these molecules constantly, and it's sort of like almost like a 360 smell that rotates around you, rather than the sort of decline of a perfume that starts strong and gradually evaporates into nothing. So yeah, I find that sort of stuff fascinating.
I mean, maybe the idea would be maybe perfume houses that want to tackle leather and making the perfume smell like their bags, because I've always wanted Chanel to create the 255, which is a de-stressed calfskin leather. It has its own smell. I always dreamed of Chanel creating the 255 perfume. But now that you're saying that the molecule behaves differently in a fragrance as opposed to wearing leather and how it emanates from heat, maybe it's time to reinvent the way we deal with perfumery in terms of how we apply it. Like maybe for a leather perfume, you get the actual perfume, and then maybe they can give you these leather patches that you can apply to the body.
Like nicotine patch.
Like spraying perfume on it, and then like that emanates for the whole day, and then you can take the leather patch off and put it back on again when you want to recreate the effect of leather later.
Yeah, yeah. You know, like I haven't worn them before, but Francis Kurkdjian has the leather bracelets that are perfume that you can wear, and I guess it's similar to that concept of your arm will heat the leather and then the fragrance comes out of the leather.
It's a really good idea. I mean, I'm just thinking about maybe instead of having bracelets to have like really thick amounts of leather so that they can actually emanate properly and give
Yeah.
you that full-blown fantasy. Now, I know that people are going to say, but Dacob, it's easy. You just, go into leather fetish, dressed in leather from head to toe, and you're going to get that smell. You don't need a perfume. I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. But if I don't want to wear a harness to work, but if I want to leave my harness at home one day and I just want to go to work without a harness and I still want to smell the leather, how can we achieve it? I think it's potentially doable. I mean, it's definitely a smell I love to smell. And there are certain leather bags of mine that I have and I just sniff them
Hmm.
like a crazy person. I find myself at home just sitting alone on the couch, sniffing a bag. And I'm like, yes.
That's cool. I love that for you.
But you gotta say it in the Valley Girl, but I love that for you.
Oh yeah. So the other thing that we've been messaging today in video and audio message is Dake has been teaching me how to do a Valley Girl accent, but I need to practice more. I'm not gonna come out on Instagram Live and do it yet. I'm gonna
No,
perfect.
yeah, no, of course, we have to have a full coming out party. It has to be a special event, like the debutantes. Clayton's Valley Girl debutante moment. We have to exercise, we have to train, and then we're gonna when she's good and ready, she will bloom like a flower.
Yeah, I'm loving that. And we have to decide what era she comes from. Like is she going to be wearing Giorgio Beverly Hills? Is she going to be wearing Sunsoft 33? Like what decade is this girl from?
I mean, the prime time of Valley Girls in our pop culture today is definitely the 80s, early to mid 80s. But there is a modern day Valley Girl, which is like the Kardashian clan, which is a slightly softer version. It's a more rich version. It's like when somebody's a billionaire but has a Valley Girl accent. It's more ripe. It's like a peach that's almost too ripe. But then the 80s Valley Girl accent is not necessarily connected to money. So it's more of a ratchet type of it's sexualized. They all are because they all go into that but it's definitely more rough and raw. So if you're going to do 80s Valley Girl, you might even go into that funny comedic version that Elvira, Mistress of the Dark,
Right.
she plays the Valley Girl of the 80s,
Mhm.
like totally, like that all the time. But she doesn't go into that floozy, like, hey, like, what are you doing? Like, Elvira doesn't do that. Elvira doesn't do the vocal fry. Elvira
Right.
does more the kind of surfboard Valley Girl, like,
Yeah.
cowabunga, dude, But you could do the Valley Girl that is like vocal frying, and you go, and then you add a little bit of Trisha Paytas, and then you go into that, and finishing every sentence with a, and so you have that kind of sexual moment going on there as well. I mean, it's insane. There's so much to the Valley Girl
Yeah.
concept in terms of speech. It's very fascinating.
Yeah. And on that note, I think I have to leave, and I know you've got Val, so you've got a lineup of guests that
Yeah,
you
we're
can.
gonna go eat something. Thank you,
Uh,
Clayton, so much for joining me. We did not reveal the mystery of what perfume Linda Evangelista is wearing in her Vogue video. Clayton does believe that it might be Idylle or Champs-Élysées.
yeah. Yeah. I feel like Champs-Élysées, the juice is not very colored and I remember in the picture, that's why it feels like there's some depth to the frame. So either that, or could she be like a Le Petit Robe Noir kind of girl? I don't know. Undecided.
Oh my God, I mean, Le Petit Robe Noir?
I feel like she'd be a white floral girl, which I guess is Champs-Élysées, right? But I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's yeah.
From memory, Champs-Élysées, the juice isn't that colored. So it could
No.
be that Samsara. Could she be like OG Shalimar? I don't know.
Well,
Yeah,
another friend of mine said,
I didn't
"Oh,
alone.
since she got botched, poor Linda, we wish you a speedy recovery. She's maybe reminiscing of the times when she was in her prime, which was the 90s. So she might just be sniffing some 90s Guerlain."
Yeah, and then there's a comment here that from Flower Girl B 2000. Hello. Um, that it could be a cologne, but all the colognes are pretty clear and colorless.
Not this yellow.
Yeah, I think the only different is maybe Eau de Guerlain, what Jean-Paul Guerlain did. I feel like that one, there's a little bit of color in it from memory. But yeah, the rest are sort of transparent.
Yeah, I was hoping she was wearing L'Instant, but L'Instant is darker in color. It's more red.
Yeah. The mystery continues.
The mystery continues, maybe for a second episode if you guys like this video. I hope that it is going to be not too jumpy because I think the internet connection wasn't the best. But anyway, it was a nice little experiment. Such a pleasure to talk to Clayton. And be sure to follow Clayton on Clayton_Ilolahia on Instagram. I'm going to post it underneath this video so you guys know. Clayton, thank you so much. And until next time, never forget to never give up on love. You guys, subscribe and stay fragrant. Bye, Clayton.
Bye.